Welcome to Long Live Baseball. My name is Seth Dewald. You can find me on Twitter at Seth_Dewald. I'm joined, as always, by my friend, my frenemy, my partner in crime, the Cubs fan that we all know and love, that we wish we could change their mind, but we never will. His name's Mike Jones. How you doing, Mike?
I wish we could change some Cardinals fans into minds as well. That's all. I mean, I had, and listen. On top of that, can we talk real briefly about last week's show?
Yeah, we can do that.
Did you get everything
we can clear the air. So just full disclosure for our viewers, we had a washer and dryer delivered that day. And if anybody has a washer and dryer delivered to their house, there's a few things that you need to know. One, you should probably measure before the guys come to make sure that your washer and dryer are going to fit through the door. That's number one. All right. We didn't do that. That's my fault as the macho man of the house. Secondly, you have to have the right cords. They don't, for some reason, they don't provide the appropriate cord like they do. But if you have a different plug-in or your dryer uses a different plug-in, you have to provide that. So they didn't really set up our washer and dryer. Like they set up our washer, but they didn't set up our dryer. So anyway, just a couple of items for those of you looking for washers and dryers. So I had to go take care of that real quick and, help my wife out, do my husbandly duty. And I apologize.
Wait, did you left your wife to carry in the washer and the dryer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
She's fine. She can do it. She insisted.
All right.
She insisted. No, she didn't. She wasn't carrying in the washer and the dryer. First of all, the Lowe's guys were the delivery guys were bringing it in. So it's not like she was carrying it in on her back,
Well, I mean, you made it sound like maybe. Hey, number 3, did you give 2 reasons? Because I really wasn't listening.
I gave 2. I gave 2. Yeah. It's good to know. It's good to know that my thoughts are so appreciated on this show.
The third thing is don't broadcast a live YouTube channel when receiving a washer and dryer to your home. That's number 3.
Yeah, I guess lesson learned.
Viewers, I mean, if you haven't, you got to go back and watch last week's show. It might be the diamond in the rough of Long Live Baseball.
10 minutes of pure gold. My dogs were barking in the background as I was trying to tell this story, which I guess I could tell right now to start this show because I don't think I ever finished it. Did I?
No, let's see if the dogs will start barking again. Maybe it was the story. I mean,
they're asleep. They're I think they're fine, but today. But yeah,
we saw that. Your dogs were going off, and so were mine, or so was mine, I should say. Yeah.
The beauties of a YouTube stream that you're trying to start, and meanwhile everyone else is living their life around you, looking at you like, are you going to be done soon? Are you going to stop?
What are you doing?
Hey, are you talking into a microphone? This is weird.
Even my dog, Seth, as soon as the show starts, I start talking and looking at the camera, and my dog starts acting like, what's wrong with you? Tries to get my attention and like puts his nose under my hand. Are you okay? Are you okay? Hey, buddy, I think he thinks I'm talking to myself or something, which in essence I am.
What was that? I wasn't quite listening to what you were saying. So anyway, we went down to the Brew. It was kind of a pivotal. It was a pivotal series. There was no kind of about it. The Cardinals, I think, were a game or 2 up at that point. and it was the Saturday game that they lost, and it was about as magical a game as I'd seen in a long time. It was Adam Wainwright. You get to see Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina walk in from the bullpen, which is always, to me, you're watching that, and this is the last season, so there's only so many times that's going to happen, and there's just something about it. And I'm not trying to, because these players aren't like Ted Williams or Stan Musial or players of that ilk or have that kind of iconic status yet. I mean, they're iconic in Cardinals land, but there's just something about baseball where you look at on the field and you go, oh my God, there's Yadi and Wainwright coming like from the bullpen. And just that walk that they've made 300 some times is just, I don't know if it's ever going to be done again with all the free agents and trades. I hope it does. I hope some, player combination can be as successful and a franchise can enjoy watching those players for as long as they have. But it's especially in 2022 baseball, it's exceptionally rare to see that. So
right.
That was
absolutely.
And then on top of it, the dude almost threw a no-hitter when we were there. He took a no-hitter into the 7th inning on that Saturday. It was a back and forth, low-scoring game. You had Albert Pujols pinch hit. The whole place got up on their feet when Albert pinch hit. And then the ghost runner on second base comes out, and I'm like, oh my God, the ghost runner. I honestly forgot about the ghost runner.
I know. I forget about it until until we enter extra innings every time, and then a run scores, and you go, wait, how'd that guy get on base?
Yeah, everybody around us.
Manfred.
Yeah, everybody around us. My mom, my grandma, the people behind us. Wait a minute. They had that exact question. Like, they scored a run already?
Yeah.
Because I think the Brewers hit a triple right off the bat. So, it wouldn't have mattered. Like, at least it wasn't a single. And then, a run scores. Like, it's like, oh my God. Like, it completely changes the dynamic of a game. And it's professional baseball. It's not like we're trying to get this over with quicker. And
they are.
I know. And that's the beauty of it, because I think we need to have a segment on this show called Seth's Soccer Corner. because we were watching soccer the other night. We were just hanging out, and our friends like soccer, so I was like, oh, okay. They let me flip on the game later. So the Cardinals were playing on the West Coast against the Diamondbacks. So we flipped on the Cardinal game later, which was nice of them, because my friends do not huge baseball fans. But the game ended in a tie. A tie.
But wait, you're talking soccer now.
Yeah, I'm talking about soccer. A baseball game will not.
Wait, hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
So what? So who won?
Nobody. They tied. There was a tie. It was a tie, Mike. Because when you're
Are you talking about a professional soccer game?
I'm talking about a professional soccer game.
Okay, so who won?
Nobody. They tied. It was a tie. Can you think? Okay, so it's just like when you were on the playground, like the nature of sports, right? Let's talk philosophically for a second. When you're on the playground with your buddies, did you ever once, whether it was soccer, football, baseball, say, well, we've been playing for an hour and we're still tied up. I guess we can all go home now.
I never lost on the playground. I'm undefeated.
Yeah.
There were no ties.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's very, and then the offsides rule.
Yes, you do know, Seth. You do know. do
Yeah.
know it's
It's a
ridiculous.
little, yeah, I don't, especially when, it's not that long of a game. Like a soccer game, I know they're running around for a long time, but they could easily solve it with penalty kicks or something.
They
I
didn't.
don't,
They didn't go to that.
no, no, not in the regular season.
In a
And everybody's
tie.
just cool with it, Mike. Everybody's just cool with it. They're like, oh, okay. And I'm
The
I'm
fans.
sitting there going, not as a soccer fan, I don't watch soccer a ton. So it gets to the end of the game and I'm thinking, oh, it's over? Like that's it? They don't no sudden death period? No, because I know in football you can tie, but there's a sudden death, or there's an overtime. And in other sports there's an overtime period. But in soccer, it just feels like ties are more prevalent and it drives me bananas. And we are off the rails.
Not at all, because
And
that's. I mean, it speaks into why baseball is the greatest sport on earth. I mean,
yeah,
even with that stupid courtesy runner, ghost runner, whatever you want to call him, even with that stupid monstrosity standing out there trying to end the game early, at least it's not going to end in a tie. You're going to have a winner and a loser.
well, not yet, not yet.
Yeah, right, exactly. At least it's 9 innings
Lord.
instead of 7.
Yeah.
And let's speed up the game. And we got a lot to talk about this show, Seth. I'm telling you, let's go.
Yeah. So the Brewers ended up winning that game, but it was about as magical as a baseball game gets. And I don't know, man. There's just something about it. There's something about, I know the nostalgia that you have as a fan of baseball. There's something about watching, movies like Field of Dreams and The Natural, that just bring, like, baseball. It's almost like where superheroes go to play, and you just get to sit in the stands and watch these guys who can launch 450-foot home runs. And we'll talk about Paul Goldschmidt later, but he feels a lot like Superman this year. It's just unbelievable what that guy's doing.
Looks a lot like Superman, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just, to me, and I think people who have been around the game or have watched the game for a while, I mean, this is how it used to be. These guys were larger than life. These were your most famous athletes. These guys were legends. And I still think it's that way, but I think it's diminished a little bit with the popularity of other sports. But for me, I still go back to when I was a kid, and it's almost like every time I walk into the ballpark, I'm that kid again, and I'm watching these guys, and I don't know, there's just something different about it. There's just, it's unlike any other game there is. And that's what I love about it. It's and like that whole game brought me back to that part of me, like seeing Yachty and Waino and the way Pujols pinch hitting, the whole sequence of events. It was incredible.
Yeah. So, and Seth, just to speak into what you're talking about there, 42 major league, for the love of the game, Moneyball, I mean, you can go right down the list of where it's been, put into Hollywood, and all of that has treated baseball well all through the years. But you're not that far off in saying you're watching icons, because they are. I mean, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but I think I was looking up. Let me see if I can find it here. Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina are 3 games behind Mickey Lolich and Bill Freehand for most games started together as a battery. In the modern era, it's feasible that they will beat that record this year. That they both stay healthy. But certainly, they've got 3 more times on the mound left this year, don't they? With August, September, I would think that they'll get 3 more starts. at least. And so you're going to see that record get broken. I don't know what game it is. Put it on the calendar. In fact, well, no, Cubs Cardinals play at Busch next week, so it won't be against the Cubs, but that happens. But they'll certainly move one closer, you know. And that feeling that you're describing, I think is what the Cubs fans, were wringing their hands about in angst last year in July when, all of our heroes were shipped off. I mean, minus Happ and Contreras. I mean, and it's good to see them getting their due now. Like people recognizing those guys for what they are and who they are and what they provide to our team. I mean, Ian Happ last night against the Milwaukee Brewers in this helping out the Cardinals. Ian Happ beat the Brewers last night, 4-3. He's if I remember correctly, I bookmarked a tweet if I could find my bookmarks, but basically he set a record for. He's the only player to hit 2 home runs. I'll have to find that. But anyway, iconic is how you would, and the Cubs in a really classy move. In my opinion, there's some Cub fans that would disagree with this, like, F the Cardinals and, don't do that but they gave scoreboard numbers to Yadier Molina and Adam Wayne or Albert Pujols. And, that's the sort of thing that I think, where baseball is awesome. Because we within the confines of baseball, you recognize the greats among you, and I'm sitting here as a 53-year-old man. I know the internet sometimes makes fun of, like the ball hawker in Colorado, with the YouTube channel. I don't know if you saw that, complaining about how security told him to sit down in the bleachers, and the internet's just jumped on this guy because he's an adult ball hawker, but that aside, being at my age and watching those guys like Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright seem older than me to me. Because they're Major League Baseball players. So when you see them out there, that nostalgia that you talked about just carries along with you, and so I understand the guys, the older guys that are still handing out the bats. That just speaks to, trying to get autographs on a bat or doing stuff like that. You're not going to find me doing that as much.
Right.
I'm not saying I haven't been guilty of it, but that's what baseball is to people. So I don't even know if that described it, but
no, it's something exceedingly rare, like to see those two guys. And like I said at the top, I hope it happens again, but I'm kind of skeptical. And think about if Yachty wasn't dealing with this, whatever he's dealing with in Puerto Rico, it probably would have been broken already, this record, that you're speaking of.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, they're probably going to break it anyway. And, I'm sure that Wainwright, it's going to be interesting to see what he does in the offseason, because he's technically not announced that he's going to retire, at least not that I've seen. And he's pitching, I mean, about as well as anybody in baseball. He's pitching just fine, and the Cardinals are winning, and it's going to be interesting to see what he decides to do. But another guy, I mean, I know we make fun of Mozeliak, at least I do, on this show, and I think this is going to transition us into talking about the season and the last couple of weeks, because it's been a while since we've had a show, or a full show, without me getting interrupted by the washer and dryer. But the Cardinals have been red hot, and it's all been fueled by adding those two pitchers at the deadline, Quintana and Montgomery. And that Montgomery trade looks like exactly what the Cardinals needed. In his last 3 starts, 6 innings against the Brewers, 4 hits, no runs. 5 2/3 against the Rockies, 6 hits, 1 run allowed. Goes 9 innings, goes all the way, gives up 1 hit, no runs against the Cubs in his last start.
He owned us
and
that game.
It's like, how do the Cardinals do this? How do they identify a guy like Jordan Montgomery and say, yeah, that's a guy we want to trade for that's not going to – I know we had to give up Harrison Bader, which hurt, but Lars Nootbaar has emerged as a replacement. Sometimes a guy just needs an opportunity, and you give him that opportunity and he runs with it. And Lars is a fan favorite in St. Louis, and he just injects energy into the lineup. And, to guys like Goldschmidt, who are pretty deadpan, elicits emotions out of Paul Goldschmidt, which is probably pretty hard to do. Makes him smile. Like, just every clubhouse needs that guy who's wired a little different, like a little crazy, little on the crazy side, but he's high energy and he's fun. He's fun to be around. He'd be fun at parties,
How much? Well, it's always good to bring a candy bar to a party. I mean, everybody loves a candy bar to a party.
He's getting his own candy bar. He's getting his own candy bar. The Newt bar.
With a name like Lars Nootbaar, how can you not like the guy? I mean, you introduce yourself to this guy. Hi, I'm Mike Jones. I'm Lars Nootbaar. I mean, Are you serious? Yeah, no, that's my name, Lars Nootbaar. Okay. Yeah. Are you a descendant of the Hershey family, or is it which candy family were you born of? Is what I want to ask the dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so exciting because if Jordan Montgomery, because I think I told you on the show that the Cardinals really don't have an elite starting pitcher. I'm not so sure if that's not true anymore. Like, if that's true anymore, because Jordan Montgomery has been about as good as anybody in baseball over the since we got him. I mean, it's unbelievable. And it makes me happy and upset at the same time, because I think on the one hand, the Cardinals are serious, legitimate World Series contenders now, 6 games up in the division with an easy schedule to go. And then the other part of me thinks, well, why didn't we do this in the off season?
Yeah.
And I understand that deals aren't always available. They were probably counting on Flaherty and Matz. Think about that. Yeah. If I told you at the beginning of the season that our key free agent signing would be hurt for most of the season and Jack Flaherty would be hurt for most of the season, you'd probably think, well, the Brewers are winning this division then. So, but I mean, somehow the Cardinals are 6 games up, and with all the magic surrounding Pujols, Wainwright, and Molina, I think, especially Pujols, who we'll talk about in a minute, for a Cardinals fan, I don't think you could ask for much more.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are going to win the division, and I think, I don't know what predictions we've made on this show, but if you go back several weeks, you'll find us predicting that the Cardinals were going to run away from the division in the end, as the Milwaukee Brewers had an accordion act. The Chicago Cubs have actually helped out the Cardinals in that regard, going 10-7 with their win last night against the Brewers, ensuring that they're going to win the series against the Brewers for the season. And so in a sense, we're helping them out. And, as most Cubs fans have been bemoaning the fact that we're in this rebuild right now, you had texted me last week that over the last 10 games, the Cardinals were 8-2, and guess who else was 8-2 over their last 10 games after winning 3 straight series? The Chicago Cubs, who are currently in 3rd place. And while they are 17 games back in the National League Central, they're 6-4 over their last 10 right now, with the Cardinals being 7-3 over their last 10, with every other team in the division having a losing record over their last 10 games. including Milwaukee at 4-6, Cincinnati at 4-6, and Pittsburgh at 2-8 over their last 10. So, there's a good chance that I'm excited about what's happening in Cubs baseball right now. Looking at some of the minor league stats in terms of pitching outings by some of the guys that they picked up at the trade deadline and through the draft and that kind of thing. I know that it's been a couple weeks since we had a show, but one of the things that I was prepared to talk about several weeks ago was that some of these pitchers have been showing some real promise in the farm systems, and they're unfortunately, some of them might have been shut down for various things. You know how that is in pitching. But Wisniewski went 5 innings pitched with 1 hit, 0 runs, 5 Ks, and relieved 12 batters in a row through 66 pitches in an Iowa Cubs uniform. Cole Franklin had similar numbers, 9 strikeouts in a game. So combined, some of the prospect pitchers coming through, and this was back on the 19th of August, the latest stats that I have on it. They had pitched 15 innings with given up 8 hits with 1 earned run, 19 Ks, 2 base on balls, and an ERA of .60. And so there's some excitement going on there. Nico Horner spoke into that as he was just talking about how, according to Jordan Bastain, Nico Horner was talking about how much he loved being at Wrigley Field, and said, and I think, quote, being here from rebuild to the next great team, or whatever you want to call it, would be one of the coolest things you can do in a career. And I'm telling you, Nico freaking Horner is one of the most underrated baseball players in the major leagues today. You could talk to a lot of people and say, do you know the player Nico Horner? And I think a lot of people would go, who? And he is going to contribute to the next great Cubs team, I hope. Trades and all of that stuff aside, he's one of the guys that I think we need to stick around, keep around for sure. So, yeah, wow, I kind of went down the rail there on where the Cubs are right now. But, for being as many games back as they are, for being 17 games back, there's a lot of excitement for me being a Cubs fan, because, these guys that are in the minor leagues, Brennan Davis, Pete Crow Armstrong, are going to contribute. And watching a guy like Christopher Morel out there on the diamond, you talk about Lars Nootbaar bringing you energy and that kind of thing. Christopher Morel is one of those guys for us. Nick Madrigal had a madrigal double play to end the game last night, if you didn't see that. So there's a lot of, for me, a lot of excitement being a Cubs fan about where this team could really go in the near future. And this 17 games back right now, we're going to be we're going to be up. I mean, we're right in the middle of the pack right now, and we know what happened this year, right? And so next year, as soon as next year, I see us competing with the Cardinals for the division again.
No, I don't think that's crazy, because the Cubs they're not spending a lot of money on their payroll right now. So they're going to have money to spend, and they can go out and acquire free agents. And they've had quite a few top draft picks. It's very reminiscent to the time period before before Rizzo came up, and before Bryant came up, and Baez and Contreras. And if they can get a similar group of players like that and fill in the holes in free agency and make some good trades, which I think they've already done, yeah, it's going to be sooner rather than later. And Cardinals fans might think that that's not a good thing, but you have never seen John Mozeliak more worried than when he thinks the Cubs are going to be good. And that's when he goes out and Well, maybe we shouldn't be happy about that because that's arguably been when he's made his biggest mistakes is when he thinks the Cubs are going to be good, like signing Dexter Fowler and trading for Marcell Ozuna. But your point is well taken because I think you're right. I think the Cubs are going to be good sooner rather than later because they have a lot going for them with the salary, with the way the salaries are. You know, they've blown it up, you know, and that's the direction they've gone, and they're going to have money to spend. And I'm not sure who's a free agent. I don't think it's time to talk about that yet, but there are some key free agents, prominent free agents next year that they're going to be able to add. And it's going to be interesting to see who they choose to pick because they're going to, you know, it's Chicago. It's a big market. So they're going to have their pick of the litter.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw one name out there just to hopefully strike fear in the hearts of Cardinals fans everywhere in regards to free agency, and a thought that I had just the other day. And I know it's like a left field thought. It's way out there. It's in the mental hospital, all that kind of stuff. But I can picture, I'd love to do a Photoshop. I could picture Aaron Judge in a Cubs uniform playing at Wrigley Field. Ooh.
Oh,
that'd be
easy
something.
there. Don't get too excited.
You know,
just to kind of, it's interesting that I was looking up payroll, thinking that the Cardinals and Cubs payroll, and this is according to Spot Track, the Cardinals are only have a 10 million, are only paying $10 million more dollars on their total payroll than the Cubs are this year. Yeah, that's interesting to me. Their 26-man payroll is a lot. I mean, the Cubs on their 26-man payroll are only paying $71 million, which is number 19 in the MLB, whereas the Cardinals are at $102 million. But as far as total payroll goes, the Cardinals are at $161 million and the Cubs are at $151 million. Again, that's according to Spot Tracks. But speaking of contracts, I think we have to talk about this. Did you see the deal that Julio Rodriguez got in Seattle?
I did not see the deal that he got, but I did pick Julio Rodriguez in my Beat the Streak for today. So,
yeah, I believe 14 years, some $400 million deal. Wow. Finalized 16 hours ago, according to ESPN. And according to Jeff Passan, he's 21. Yeah, according to Jeff Passan here, it says star rookie Julio Rodriguez and the Seattle Mariners have finalized a massive long-term extension that guarantees the 21-year-old outfielder $210 million and could max out at $470 million.
You know, I think I'm going to switch my pick because did you say that was just finalized 16 hours ago?
Yeah, 11:32 a.m. is when Passan wrote this article.
See, that's after I picked him, and that bothers me because, you know, sometimes these guys get paid big bucks and their numbers dwindle quickly.
Yeah. And I'm just, I don't know about you, man. I don't know much about this guy.
Yeah.
To be honest, because he plays in the American League.
Right.
But I don't know if I'll ever be in favor of paying a guy that much money. I don't know. Maybe that's the old man on the lawn talk. But he's hitting 267. 20 home runs, 64 RBIs. I know he's 21 years old. He made the All-Star game. But it's his first year, and you're paying him that much money, a 21-year-old player. Yeah. Can we give it a few years? Did you have to do this? I don't know what like contract writers or agents would think. Maybe it's the best deal ever. I don't know. But to me, just my gut reaction to it is, holy, that sounds like a mistake. If I'm a Seattle Mariners fan, that sounds like a mistake to me. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe I'm nuts. I don't know.
Well, I think you probably want to get him over to the Cardinals. So, I think the kid's hitting the baseball. It's the Seattle Mariners. He's 21. Maybe they want to actually have a player out there that the fans can associate with again. Because who else is on the Mariners roster?
I don't know. I mean, they're pretry good.
Well, but I mean, there's no Ichiro or I mean, who's the marquee player? I mean,
I guess it would be him. I have to be honest. I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to the Seattle Mariners.
Well, and I get it, but you can certainly talk about some other teams, right? I mean, you give me a Dodger,
Mookie.
Give me a Padre.
Tatis and Juan Soto.
Give me a Met.
Max Scherzer.
Right. I mean, so give me a Mariner.
I guess Julio Rodriguez. I don't know. Like,
I mean, it's like give me an Angel. Give me an Angel.
Trout.
Yeah,
Trout.
right. I mean, so you can go. How about a twin? Can you give me a twin?
Oh Lord. I think Carlos Correa playing for the Twins.
He is. Luis Arez. I mean, hopefully the point is made, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the point? The point's making
it like the bacon. I'm watching a video clip right now, and I wish I could pull it up. It's of a walk-off single that Mitch Haniger hit last night. And
hold on a second.
They poured double bubble all over him. They had a big bucket of double bubble, and they poured like the coaches get the Gatorade poured over them. They poured the double bubble, the pieces. Some poor guy's got to pick up all those pieces of double bubble.
Hold on a second. Isn't what you're doing right now my job to take us off the rails? I mean, I'm talking about
that's what
I'm creating language over here, and you're watching a video while I'm talking.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to what you were saying, to be honest with you. But he's wearing the double bubble. How could I ignore he's wearing the double bubble like some kind of crown, like he's the king of double bubble.
I can't wait to see that video.
Yeah. Anyway,
after this show,
I'll share it with you right now as you're talking.
Well, yeah, I know you will. You're talking about big worthless contracts, though, in your opinion, and the one that we have to speak into, and I don't know if we've talked about this on our show or not, but Jed Hoyer was several weeks ago in the Cubs dugout and was interviewed about was being asked about Jason Hayward, who, by the way, handed out the scoreboard number to Albert Pujols at that event at Wrigley Field. But it's already been stated that we're heading a different direction with Jason Hayward, and he won't be with the Cubs next year. Which, first of all, tip of the hat to Jason Hayward because he was great for us. But second of all, that payroll piece, when you're talking about the Cardinals payrolls being similar, a good chunk of that payroll is being paid to a guy who's not playing right now and won't be playing for us next year, who we will still be paying for. And so, just that's a piece of the picture when it comes to this rebuild about how things are going to happen. Now, what would I love to see? I would love to see Jason Hayward remain with the Cubs organization. Hayward still wants to play, so he probably won't. But I'd love to see Jason Hayward stay with the Cubs organization in some kind of consultation, coaching, some sort of arena like that, because I think he brings a lot, obviously, to the clubhouse, and the knowledge that the guy has as a multi Golden Glove outfielder could definitely be of use to the Cubs. Now, that being said, back to your rabbit trail.
Well, I would like to talk about Jason Hayward for a minute, because that was a rare kind of punch in the gut to Cardinals fans, because this guy who we traded for, because Mozeliak's always, this is kind of his move, Mozeliak. He loves to trade for guys, get him into St. Louis. It's what he did with Goldie. It's what they did with Matt Holliday. It's what, get him into St. Louis, get him in front of 46,000 fans if they're not used to that. And the guys, they love it and they sign extensions, right? And that's what they thought they could do with Hayward. And the Cardinals, by all intensive purposes, offered a very similar contract to Jason Hayward, and he said no. He signed with the Cubs. So it's not like the Cardinals weren't interested in this guy.
Right.
So it very well could be the Cardinals on the other end of this contract and not the Cubs. It's like that everybody wanted this guy. I can't stress that enough. And it was a great signing at the time. I was so mad. I was at the time, like I said, it was a punch in the gut to Cardinals fans. And it really made you think like, oh my gosh, the Cubs are on their way. I think they had traded for John Lester. And they just had so many prospects coming up through their system. And that's something a lot of people don't remember, but I remember it well because of how devastated I felt when it happened. So, go ahead.
And let's talk. I mean, since we're talking about Jason Hayward, make no mistake, Jason Hayward was obviously an integral part of everything that's happened in the last 10 years with the Chicago Cubs. I mean, everybody knows the story of the rain delay and the speech in the locker room and all of that kind of stuff. I love Jason Hayward. Jason Hayward's building a multi-million-dollar kids place on the north side of Chicago, basically baseball academy. I mean, this guy's a great guy. He's a stand-up guy. I'm sure he's won those awards, unfortunately, that we don't talk about often enough, Man of the Year, that type of stuff. And right now he's injured. I mean, he had a right knee strain or a left knee strain or something like that. And so, that's part of the picture that's being painted right now as well. Absolutely loved having Jason Hayward as a Chicago Cub. Would never defame I hope that I've never, defamed his name or thrown him under the bus in what I've said about him, even on this show. As irate as I've been with I would say that about any player whose performance isn't matching up with their payroll.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and that's a fickle thing because I know baseball. I'm listening to a great podcast that I don't know if we've talked about that sometime. Called Wesley. Rinaldi's doing this podcast about the only Major League Baseball player who's ever been murdered during the season. If you haven't, if you haven't started listening to that webcast, you need to. But this is probably the only Major League Baseball player in the history of the game who has actually said to his owner, "Because I'm not performing, keep my salary."
Well, Mark McGwire did something very similar with the Cardinals.
Did he?
But
yeah. So I mean, I think that and that's a hard thing, your numbers, because baseball is a game of failure, right? We've talked about that before. And so if you're failing out there, streaks, hitting slumps, all those things, that there's language that's been developed around what happens in baseball in that regard. And so anyway, I'm kind of rambling, but love Jason Hayward. Would love to see him in a role in the front offices or on the coaching staff or somehow involved with the Cubs in the years to come. Wish him the best of luck wherever he lands in the upcoming season.
Yeah, just to put some numbers into what we're saying, in the year before he came to the Cubs, the Cardinals year, he hit 293, 13 home runs, 60 RBIs, and 547 plate appearances. Won a Gold Glove, won a Gold Glove in 4 consecutive seasons, starting in 2014. When he came up with the Atlanta Braves at 20 years old, he hit 277, 18 home runs, 72 RBIs, finished second in the Rookie of the Year voting, and got some MVP votes as well. I mean, this was a bona fide stud prospect who had some really good years with the Atlanta Braves and a pretty good year with the Cardinals. I mean, like I said, enough so that the Cardinals were willing to sign him to an extension, which is not something they do for every player. And like sounds like a stand-up guy too, and has done a lot for the community. So I can't really say too many bad things about Jason Hayward. I know he hasn't lived up to the contract with the Chicago Cubs. However, you could say in 2016, the year the Cubs won the World Series, he won a Gold Glove and, contributed defensively.
Yeah. I mean, has he lived up to the contract? In recent years, no, not so much. Has he lived up to the contract in the big picture? Yes. 1,000%. That's just my opinion. There's a lot of guys out there that say, what are you talking about? You don't know anything. Look at his numbers, all that stuff. No, he's lived up to the contract. It was worth it. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
so
let's
go ahead. Go
ahead. Perfect symmetry.
Absolutely.
So let's talk for a second about the series that just unfolded. It was a pretty good series from what I remember. And it was, the 5-game, you had the doubleheader in there. The Cardinals end up winning 3-2. You have Montgomery's game in there, which we've already talked about. But what stands out to you from the series, which is always a classic between the Cardinals and the Cubs? What were some highlights for you? Because I have a few.
Well, I mean, obviously, honestly, it's the thing that stands out to me the most is, and I hate to say it because it's about a Cardinal, but is the Montgomery game. I mean, I would like to see, I tried to look this up earlier. How many pitchers have pitched a complete game this season? It can't be many, and so, and then in the back of my mind, when I'm watching that game, I'm like, where'd they get this guy? What is this? Somebody they called up from the farm system? Because I'm not following all that crap that's going on in St. Louis as far as trades and stuff like that. Obviously, you explained it on this show, but that was something else. And hey, for the Cubs to split with the division-leading Cardinals, 17 games back, and to have several close games with them. Highlights for me: Justin Steele shoving. Drew Smyly had a pretty good start out there. The one thing that I'm a little bit cautious and questionable about. I mean, Stroman's gone out and given us several, quality starts, I think, but I don't know if Stroman's living up to his hype when they signed him, during the off season. I think, watching Ian Happ's play, that's been an encouraging piece of it in regards to that series. And again, the classy move, I think. So, those are a few of the things that stand out to me from the season. You probably have some more specific, or from the series, you probably have some more specific things, but I was happy coming out of there with, going into the 5th game of the series tied 2-2. That's great. We got a chance to win another series, and even though we fell out on the short end of that, we're competing. We're competing with the top echelon of the division. That there's no question about it.
Yeah, no, it just, every time the Cubs and Cardinals play, it doesn't really matter what the records are. It's gonna be close, and it seems like these series always come down to like a game here, a game there, which is how baseball is.
Right.
In your season, the difference between making the playoffs and not making the playoffs is that 3rd game. In this case, it's the 5th game of the series. And just kind of highlighting this for people, the first game at Wrigley was the Montgomery game. 1-0. He gives up 1 hit, What a way to start. And to me, there's nothing more pure than a low-scoring baseball game. That is a fact as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Then the next game, everybody talks about the Montgomery game, but the Cubs shut out what has turned into an offensive juggernaut. I think I heard somewhere that the Cardinals since the break are number 3 in runs scored per game. I could be wrong about that because that's a stat I heard on a podcast that I'm recalling right now. But I thought going into the doubleheader with Adam Wainwright pitching the first game, and I guess we had Woodford going in the second game. But I thought if any of those two games we had the best chance to win, it would have been Wainwright. But you know who had something to say about that? The Cubs. I'm gonna pronounce this name wrong. Javier Assad through four innings, gave up 4 hits but didn't give up any runs, and then the Cubs bullpen just shut the Cardinals down. You got Rucker going 2 innings, not giving up any hits or runs.
I think he ends up with the win, by the way.
Yeah, and Newcomb goes 2/3 of an inning. Uleman, guys you've never heard of. Hughes gets the save.
We've heard of Brandon Hughes. Trust me.
It's 2-0 Cubs. So the first game, Cardinals take it 1-0, and the Cubs return the favor the next day. And then, of course, the next game isn't as exciting. The Cardinals go absolutely bonkers. It was nice to see Jake Woodford actually start a game, because I think a lot of Cardinals fans wonder why he wasn't inserted into the starting rotation earlier, especially with the struggles that Dakota Hudson has had. And I think that should be a consideration for the Cardinals going forward, because that is to me, the weak link in the chain. And supposedly the Cardinals are supposed to be getting back Flaherty at the beginning of September. So we'll see what happens there in that regard. But to continue along, so now the Cardinals are up 2-1, and you have the Arenado getting thrown out game over a bad call. I honestly did not watch the game. I did not watch the reaction, but supposedly it was over a check swing. And this is another game where the Cubs started Rowan Wick, a bullpen guy. Luke Farrell, he got the win. Farrell started, pitched really well, gave up 6 hits, but only gave up 1 run. Then the bullpen again, Wick, Leiter, Hughes, Castro, nothing. The Cubs can find guys to fill in roles in the bullpen like I've never seen. Like it's definitely been a strength of the organization for the past 5 years, I would say.
They've found a niche, haven't they, somehow? Just like you mentioned earlier in the show, how did the Cardinals find this guy Montgomery? How did they know that they were getting this guy and he was going to come in and do what he's done for this team? The Cubs bullpen, we traded Efros. I mean, we traded away these guys that somehow coming out of the bullpen in Chicago, they're rock stars.
Mm-hmm.
And we're creating more rock stars out of the bullpen. Brandon Hughes, I love that guy. I mean, most of people would say, "Who's that?" Out on the mound. I love that guy in Chicago. Now, I'm not as excited about, personally, I'm not as excited about Rowan Wick, but I think he's still being developed. It's kind of crazy to say that, but he's a big dude, man. I think he's like 6'5", 280 or something. He's a big dude, and can throw the ball hard when he's got control on it. So, and Wednesday's game, is that the game that Wick got the win? Yeah, the 7-1 win. That obviously was a highlight as well. So against Michaelis too, who, talk to me a little bit about Michaelis and where are you at with him? Because at the start of the season, it was like he was tearing things up, and he's kind of probably about 500 right now or on the season.
Yeah, he's to me, he's a classic get you through the season type of pitcher, and that sounds kind of disrespectful considering he made the All-Star game, but let me
Inning
just
eater?
read. Yeah, let me just read these lines. Like, so in that game against the Cubs, he went 6 2/3, gave up 5 runs. Only 3 of them were earned. Only struck out 3. Against the Diamondbacks, eight innings. So he has the potential to go deep in ball games. 2 hits, 1 earned run. Against Milwaukee, 4 hits, two earned runs. But then all like out of nowhere, it's like every 3 or 4 games he just puts up a stinker. Against Colorado, 2 2/3, 14 hits, 10 earned runs allowed. Against the Cubs, August 4th, 6 1/3, 8 hits, 3 earned runs. Not bad, not great. And then Washington, back to his old self. 7 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs allowed. Then at Cincinnati, 5 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs. So it's like, and Adam Wainwright's had a little bit of that too, although he's been a little bit more consistent at home. But again, I don't think when it comes playoff time, Michaelis, it's probably going to be Quintana before we consider Michaelis, I would think. I don't know that for certain, but it's probably going to be, dare I say, Montgomery in the first game, and then Wainwright, and then I'm missing somebody, but those two would definitely be your 1-2. I would imagine. So to your point, yeah, he's good. He's very efficient when he's on, but there are some games where he gets beat up, and that's very, he's not your typical top of the line starter, but he is super efficient. And when he's on, he can go really deep into ball games, which is what you need. You need guys like that in your rotation. So I like Miles Michaelis. I think he's fine, but I don't think he's necessarily as good as some people think he is, because they see that star next to their name and saying that he's an all-star. But real quick, so all of that leads up to the finale, right? The game 5, which I love these 5-game series. I don't know what's going on. And then, this leads me to the fact that Paul Goldschmidt's going to win the MVP.
Okay.
Because he, in this game, did exactly what you need an MVP to do. 2 home runs, 3 hits, 5 RBIs, and the Cardinals win by 5.
Okay, I'm slightly embarrassed to tell you this, but as you know, I've talked about it before. I'm playing Beat the Streak, and I'm still waiting for you to get on there because I think I'm telling you, you want.
I'm on there. I'm on.
Well,
I have a streak right now.
What's your streak at?
2, I think. 2.
8. I'm at 8, baby.
Wow.
So I need to talk about your friend code after you get off here, but
all right.
Listen, I'm kind of embarrassed to say this. Sorry, Cubs fandom, but I had Goldschmidt on that game in my streak. And what was he? 3 for 5 or 2 for 5 or something like that?
3 for 4, I think. I think there was a walk in there.
Yeah, he came through for me. I'm just saying, Paul Goldschmidt is the real deal, and if he doesn't win the MVP this year, it is a disservice. And I know we've got an entire month to go, and accordion acts have been known to happen, right? But
entire month to go, and he's at 105 RBIs.
Yeah, but right now, he's the MVP, far and away. I don't think there's anybody. Okay, no, I don't think there's anybody that can compare to him right now.
So that's the difference right now. That's the difference between that is the difference between the Cubs and the Cardinals right now. Forget everything else. We have an MVP caliber player having an MVP caliber season on our team. Yep. And that's the difference in a 5-game series between the third place team or the cellar dweller and the first place mighty Cardinals.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we're not cellar dwellers. And second of all,
I went like this. I did this.
I saw you, the air quotes. I saw it. But I totally agree with you. That's the difference. It's the marquee player, right? And the Ricketts have assured us that they're going to spend during the offseason. Okay. And Wouldn't it be nice to have an all-star caliber free agent, hint, hint, who's a big dude who can hit towering home runs, hint, hint, to add to the lineup in Chicago, to be that kind of all-star caliber player? Yeah, that would be very nice. Very, very nice. And hey, and I'm not taking anything away from Nico Horner, because Nico Horner is an all-star who wasn't an all-star. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that dude, I'm telling you, just watching that guy play, it's fun to watch him play.
All right. Can we do Seth's soccer corner real quick?
Well, listen, hold on a second, though. I mean, you were talking about the finale a little bit, and I want to bring you back to those thoughts because I might have interrupted you.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying Goldschmidt went crazy in that game, and he ultimately was the difference. But I will say, in this game, let me make sure I've got the right game pulled up. Yep. You're starting to see other Cardinals come through. You're starting to see role players come through. And this is why I'm so optimistic. With the addition of Jordan Montgomery, I think he and Wainwright, that combination all of a sudden is scary if Montgomery can keep this up. And I think he can. Lars Nootbaar, 2 hits. Brendan Donovan, 2 hits. Corey Dickerson, he had a streak where he had 10 hits in a row and 10 consecutive at bats. 3 hits.
That's what I'm hoping for today.
Tommy Edman, 3 hits. Like, all of a sudden, and I know Paul DeJong is Paul DeJong doing Paul DeJong things, but he's playing good. He's always been a pretty good defensive shortstop, and he still is. So it's like you start to look around at this team, and you have I believe the right combination of young role players, up and coming stars in Gorman and Carlson, combined with veterans like Arenado and Goldschmidt. As far as team building goes, I don't know if you can do much better than the Cardinals have done with this team. It just needed a few pieces in the starting pitching department, just like last year, to make the mechanism go, to give it that jet fuel to propel it to first place in the division. So to me, that's exciting. If you're a Cardinals fan.
Absolutely. And you reminded me of one of my highlights of the series. I kind of fell flat when you asked me the question, wasn't quite prepared for that. Because you mentioned Paul DeJong. One of my highlights of the series was watching our rookie, Christopher Morel, hit a gap, hit one out into the outfield, and he's rounding second, and the throw goes into DeJong, who he doesn't catch it, and Morel with a heads up play gets to third base. In the game, by the way, this is how close that series was, and I wanted to speak into this, and I'm glad you reminded me. In the game that the Cardinals won 1-0, and we had Christopher Morel standing 90 feet away, so that game could have gone either direction, is all I'm saying, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's how competitive I think we're becoming, even without a marquee player, so to speak. All right, soccer. What soccer corner? Are you seriously going to talk about soccer?
Yeah, it's Seth's soccer corner. It's a segment. I need a jingle, or something like.
It's Seth's soccer corner. Seth's soccer corner. I don't even.
Nobody cares about Seth's soccer corner. So anyway, I don't understand, and somebody out there can let me know. I don't understand offsides in soccer.
No, it's really
so.
Simple.
Let me get this straight. I understand the rule. It's like, here's the rule, Mike, and I looked this up in the soccer rule book. I looked it up in the soccer rule book. It says we don't want people to be we want people to be athletic, but we don't want them to be too athletic that they can just sprint past everyone. So we need rules for slow people. So here's what we do. We make sure that the fast people are regulated, so they can't just blow past the defender and streak down the field, because it's too hard to defend So we have to make sure that our sport is as boring as humanly possible. So we need the offsides rule, because I was watching that game, and I'll tell you, there were 2 moments where offsides was called where the defenders just stopped, like decided, no, I'm not going to defend anymore, because that means that you're offsides now. And I thought, I looked at everybody and I just said, man, it must be pretty frustrating if you're, faster than them, because at any time you have to be able to anticipate them stopping on a dime, and then you need to be able to stop on a dime. It makes absolutely no sense. Can you imagine an NFL wide receiver stopping because, like, a cornerback just stopping and saying, oh, he's past me, and when the ball's in the air and he's past me, then he can't do that, so there's going to be a flag and this is coming back? What a travesty of a rule. What a horrible rule. And it's like, well, it's to prevent scoring. It's like, well, why would you want to regulate the athletic people in your sport from scoring and those because there's not too many exciting moments in a soccer game. I'll just say it. There's not too many scoring opportunities. And then this rule comes along and says, you know what? We know there's not a lot of scoring opportunities, but now there's going to be even less scoring opportunities, because the douchebag is going to flip up his flag on the side and say, nope, you're too fast. Get off the field. Off the field. You're too fast for this sport. Go play a sport where you don't chop your body in half and you can't use your hands. Although you can use your hands kind of, as long as they're tucked in. Like, it's the dumbest sport I've ever witnessed in my life. I don't understand it. I don't like it. It's so boring. I can't take it. And this offsides rule is just the icing on the cake. It's just like, if you're fast and athletic, get out of here.
All right. And so you know where you went wrong, Seth?
Where did I go wrong?
You went to a soccer game. That was Seth's Soccer Corner. Seth's Soccer Corner. Nobody cares about soccer in Seth's Soccer Corner. Yeah,
beautiful.
No,
yes, that's the best jingle I've ever heard.
And listen,
yeah.
Hey, with apologies to the douchebag on the side. And so now, now, what do you say we turn back to baseball?
Oh, hold on? Let me. Where did it go?
What do you mean?
There it is.
I gotta get arms.
I gotta get it real quick. I gotta get my concordance.
Oh my gosh! I cannot believe that you don't have your Dixon's baseball.
Hey, all right.
Dixon's baseball dictionary. We're into the C's this week, and we're just going to kind of, we're going to try to keep the line moving, right? Keep the line moving. I'm on page 155, Seth.
All right.
First page of the C's in the Dixon baseball dictionary, which I really like to get this guy on the show sometime just to talk about what were you thinking when you decided to put together the Dixon's baseball dictionary? Obviously a fan, but the first thing that pops out at me is the cackle clout. Have you ever heard of a cackle clout?
No, but it sounds delightful.
A cackle clout is a foul ball. It's a play on the homonym foul. A cackle clout.
Wow, we should. I mean, if you're ever at the game, you need to, like, if there's ever a controversial, like, fair foul, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, what's going on?" And you just need to turn to them and say, "It was a cackle clout."
It was a cackle clout. I mean,
it was a cackle clout.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how it's a play on the homonym foul, but because fowl, FOWL, is a bird, and birds cackle, and so
is that why we call it? I thought we called it foul because it was like bad, like a foul, like it's out of play.
It's foul. Like a bad odor, like foul.
like, oh, there's something foul in the air. Like, I thought I didn't know it was from a bird.
Like Busch Stadium, it's a foul place.
Lord.
Hey, and so that's a cackle clout. That was Mike Dixon Baseball Dictionary. Are we going to start singing everything on the?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean,
Hey, and here's the last thing, and maybe this is the last thing because it seems like, I don't know, we've been going at it for an hour and 10 minutes now, and it's probably time to wrap things up. But here's the one thing that I want to touch base with you about, because you mentioned Nolan Arenado getting kicked out of a game for a check swing, and I sent you a direct message tweet moments ago about the strike zone challenge system that they are trying out in the minors.
Oh, Lord.
Yes. Challenges can only come from the pitcher, catcher, or batter, and they have to happen right away. And there's a video of this taking place in a minor league game where so instead of the robo-ump, normally the umpire will call balls and strikes. And the way the challenge system works is when the umpire calls a strike, the pitcher can challenge, and the umpire then challenges, and he immediately gets a feedback. So it's not just the umpire standing there listening to the earpiece, and then, okay, the earpiece says strike, and he goes strike. Nope, the umpire's calling it. And if the pitcher or catcher want to challenge that call, then the umpire's and he turns around, and it's immediate. What do you think of that?
I'm watching it play out live here.
Yeah. So this is in a game between Syracuse and
It was pretty efficient the way they did it, but I just don't like the idea of it. Like I always thought that, I guess the replay system is a Pandora's box, because it's like or a slippery slope, because like if you review one thing, how can you review another? But balls and strikes, it just seems like absurd to give the ability to review balls and strikes. There's hundreds of balls and strikes every game, and I thought we were trying to speed up the game. This has to just, can you imagine like he turns around, like, for how many pitches in a game do they get a challenge? Like, I just say no, just leave it alone. I don't think this is a good idea.
Yeah, thank you. And I say no to the instant replay system. I say no to changing the base size. Did you hear that? Did you hear that properly? They're changing the base size in minor league baseball for player safety. Not only does the base size change, guess what else changes? The distance from home plate to first base to second base to third base. The bag is closer. Now it's not 90 feet. Now it's 87 feet and 8 inches. Stop messing with the game. Stop it. The game is fine. Stop it. Quit messing with it. My rant for today.
Yeah.
This replay system.
Are the bags 3 feet bigger? Or how big are these bags? How big are these
No,
bags?
I said 87 feet. I'm sorry. 89 feet. 9 inches.
Oh, okay. So it's like half an inch on.
I don't know. It's that much closer. I think it's. I don't know.
That would be kind of funny to have a 3-foot bag.
but my point is.
Yeah.
Just stop, because I don't care what the distance is. The distance is 90 feet.
Yeah.
Respect 90 feet. It's been 90 feet since the 1800s, since the 1700s. What is that going to do to statistical models, to Ricky Henderson's records, to stolen bases, to what all of these things changing? Why are we changing these things? Change I get it. Sometimes you have to change. I get it. I'm not opposed, but some things just don't need to change.
Yeah.
Some things are fine the way they are. If there's one thing that's beautiful about baseball, you think about it and you go, how is it that somehow they came up with 90 feet between the bags between home plate and first base, and 90 feet. How we had to develop a freaking replay system because there are so many close plays when the ball is hit to the shortstop and the throw goes across the field, or it's hit to the third baseman and it goes across the field. And it's such a bang, bang play that they had to develop a replay system, which they shouldn't have done in the first place. They had to have a guy standing at the bag to know, to make the call whether or not he was safe and out. It's a game of inches. Don't change those inches. It changes the game too much. That's just hey, let's take the rim and move it up 4 inches because there's too many dunks going on. Hey, let's not let the fast players run past the last defender before the ball is kicked. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, hey, let's take the glass. Let's make hockey more exciting. We'll take the glass off of because, people want pucks. So let's take the glass away, and then that'll make that game more exciting. I don't know. Let's change the puck size a quarter of an inch.
Yeah. I'm
just not.
Yeah, they can. I don't really. Yeah, I don't. Who's getting hurt on these bags? How many?
I don't know if this bag thing is a carryover. Let's do some investigation on this because I really haven't looked into it in great detail. But is this a carryover from the softball thing where there's a bag on the fair side of there's an orange bag there? Is there how many injuries are actually happening on first base? What are the numbers? What are the percentages? And I'm just not sure. I mean, the worst injury I've seen is a guy diving back into first base on a pickoff attempt, and he fractured his pinky was like broken because of the way his hand hit the bag or whatever. But and maybe there's some baseball players who are watching our show who could talk into this or that kind of thing. I don't know. Let's look more at that for next week's show.
All right. I think that'll do it. For Mike, for myself, you can follow Mike at Michael Jones IA, where you can find more of those legendary rants about how about baseball, about the 3 foot bags, the cartoonish acts of Rob Manfred at times. So that you find all that at Michael Jones IA, and why wouldn't you want to follow Mike? And you can follow myself at Seth_Dewald on Twitter. You can follow the show. It's going to be in the show descriptions. I'm probably going to mess this up. At LNG. I'm LNG Live Baseball. So it's Long Live Baseball, but it's spelled LNG LIVEBASEBA 11 on Twitter. And you can thank Mike for that. But it's gonna be easily clickable in the link or in the show description, so you can follow the show, and then you can get more of our thoughts on the Cardinals and the Cubs there. So
today I'm gonna see if I can change a Twitter handle. That's my one goal for today. I'm gonna see if I can change a Twitter handle.
Gotta have your goals. Gotta have your missions in life. Is change Twitter handles. I might start one for Seth's Soccer Corner. Follow Seth's Soccer Corner on Twitter. It's probably gonna be an image of a soccer player complaining, because that's all they do, and just complain. Like, it's worse than it's so unbearable. But anyway, that's the show. Do you have any final words of wisdom,
Well,
Mike?
Hey, on next week's show, Seth and I will be discussing what critics say about, our feelings as well on Britney Spears' first new music video since her conservationship ended. And so then And hey, other
Make
than
some
that,
notes.
we got another Cubs Cardinals series coming up real soon next week at Busch Stadium, September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, or somewhere in that network area. After the Cubs help the Cardinals out more and more by beating the Brewers and bashing on the Brewers more and more.
Yeah.
And then we'll be back down in St. Louis real soon. And go Cubs.
All right. Go Cardinals. Let's win the Central. Let's make a run in the playoffs. We're winning the whole thing, man, this year. I have a good feeling we're going to win the World Series this year, Mike.
Good luck to you.
Go Cards, baby. Long live baseball. See you
See
next
ya.
time.